Good afternoon, everybody. This is I know they're gonna hear you. This it's my daughter Brittany. She's sniffling over at the table.
I'm dying, bro.
All right, yeah. Teenagers always say they're dying, but needless to say, welcome to episode 6 of Psycho's Platters in a CD. Yeah, that's right. I know some of you people out there were asking me, hey, what happened to part 2 of episode 5? Well, you know what? I don't really care. I just go linear the way I feel like it. So we're going to go off and continue from last week on the signed albums part dos. That's right. Before I do that, though, I caught myself a couple weeks ago in an error that I boo-booed on. Not that really anybody's going to care, but I do believe in truth in advertising. Remember that Giants album I told you guys about that I said, hey, check it out? And it was produced by Greg Enrico, who uh, was drummer for Santana. No, I'm sorry. He wasn't the drummer for Santana. That was my boo-boo. He actually was for drummer for Sly and the Family Stone. My bad. So thank you for being myself again. Yeah, that was bad. I don't care. So, okay, here's what we're going to do with the signed album bits. Like I told you before, I've got a nice collection of them, and I find them all over the place. Most of the time, I do actually get the artists to sign them themselves when I see them after concerts, before concerts, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes I will go to garage sales, and I will come across some strange little goofy things. Like this one here. Now, personally, I don't know who the heck the Whites really are. I do know that there are a bluegrass country type group who actually was produced by Ricky Skaggs in the 80s. But guess what? I found this for 10 cents. And everybody in the band signed it. And I'm told one of the guys is dead in this by now. The sad part about this little story is that the garage sale that I went to in southern Wisconsin where I picked that up, and by the way, on Curb Records, not around anymore. Uh, it was a dead granddaughter's record box. She used to go to the Walworth County Fair up there and sometimes get albums signed by the artists. Another episode, future from now, I'll show you the signed Conway Twitty. Yeah, that's right. I got the late Conway Twitty's album signed on that too, as well. So, like I said, you go to a fairgrounds concert, chances are, bring your albums. You never know who you are going to get signed. Or, let's say you got a town festival near you, and, where you grew up like I did. I grew up in McHenry, Illinois, which is a semi-big town, I guess, for around there, about an hour from Chicago. And they have themselves a festival every year called Fiesta Days. It used to suck when I was a kid and in the teenager years, and it only started getting better around after 2000 on. My friend John was a promoter, and he would get people to come there from time to time, and needless to say, he'd ask some of us people to work security for the the behind the scenes bit. So guess what? I got to do 2 festivals. The first one I got to work on was Eddie Money's. Yeah, that's right. He actually signed this. He signed a bunch of albums for me. Really nice guy. He was a little loopy that day, though. I gotta tell you, he. Oh, look. Oh, isn't that something? Look at that for 1980 with the long hair and all that. Who would have thunk going from singing cop for New York City to being in a rock band, and of course on the Sideways Clean Columbia record label as well. And here's another thing: when you're going to go off and you're going to go to concerts and stuff like that, and you're not entirely sure who the heck is in the backup band of the said person that you're going to see, aka Eddie Money went off and did an interview the day of the concert, and he was talking about his band, and he went off and he was just like, yeah, we got ourselves a new drummer. And I'm going, huh. And I kept saying to myself, why does this guy sound familiar? And his name was Donnie Baldwin. And so I'm digging around in my albums really quick. I went back home for lunch because I was going to be heading right after to the festival after work. I'm like, Donnie Baldwin. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. He played drums for Starship. Yes. I know you can't tell, but he signed it right there. And I was the only one that paid attention and went off and brought my Starship albums. Of course, for you people out there, he also played for Elvin Bishop too in the 70s. But I was going to ask him because around that time what was it, VH1 said that We Built This City was the suckiest 80s song of all time. That's what VH1 came up with in a fan poll. And, well, Donnie played drums on it, and I was going to ask him, hey, how did it feel to play drums on the suckiest song of all time? But I have to tell you the honest truth, he looked like he worked out recently and could kick my ass. It's not worth it. So I just walked away. Thanks for the signed albums and all the other stuff. Another thing, charity concerts. Yeah, you know, a lot of bands will go off and do special charity concerts, barely promoted. You just never know. You never know who you're going to find at a charity concert. Well, over in Crystal Lake, Illinois, which is a hop, skip, and a jump from McHenry, Illinois, there's a beautiful theater called the Rouse Center. And they had a charity concert for a homeless organization, homeless shelter organization. And they brought in Rick Emmett from Triumph. Yeah, looky, looky. It says to Paul, cheers, Rick Emmett.
Yeah,
How about,
clear up that you weren't homeless.
I know, I wasn't homeless at the time, but see, now sometimes I got to confess here, I really wish I could have said that I met Rick Emmett because he is like one of the best guitar players, period. Triumph, one of the best Canadian, remember we were talking about Canadian rock bands? If I ever pull out the CAT, which is the Canadian aptitude test for music, you can use Triumph as one of your answers. Needless to say, I couldn't go to this gig because my boss was being a jackass, so instead I went off and I sent them through a friend of mine that was at the gig, and I even enclosed a check for the charity. So he signed this one here. And Thunder 7. Yeah, another one of my favorites. You just never know who you're going to get. Rick Emmett. Triumph is supposedly talking about doing a reunion again. I hope so. Please. Please, please, please. Maybe I'll get to meet them the next time around. Also, don't forget to check your local record stores if you even have a record store in your area. Some of you people don't anymore. I know this town don't. And back up where I live, there's only one, and that's it. But back in the day, this was a few years ago, I picked up for next to nothing UFO's Lights Out. Oh, this has got to be one of my favorite UFO albums. You know what I'm talking about. The vocals of Phil Mogg. You got Andy Parker on drums, who lives in Texas. Yes, Texas. Paul Raymond. Oh, bits of fun. Okay? So get this, though. This one here, I found out the little backstory. The guy got it signed when he was in Chicago for a UFO gig around this time period. So this one here happens to have Phil Mogg, Pete Way, and Andy Parker and Paul Raymond's autograph. And another one I can't figure out on here. It's on the back. Just can't quite figure it out. But for $12 for a band-signed album, where barely any of them are together anymore, you're right. It was worth every little penny. Wanda Jackson, Queen of Rockabilly Music. Yeah, that's right. She was the Queen of Rockabilly Music. Some people called her the female Elvis. Now, I don't know if I would have gone that far. I mean, she had a really, really good voice. So you're saying, well, why idiot are you showing me an album? Because sometimes when you're going through resale shops, you just never know if you're going to find, oops, I hate backwards cameras, autographs like this particular one. You see, because she turned Christian, and I found out that she visited churches in this area. Well, obviously, it looks like she visited one in 1980, because that's where this autograph is from. 10 cents. That was it for that one. Definitely worth it. So, got to tell you a little bit here. One of my favorite 70s bands was just maybe about an hour and a half from here. Yeah, Black Oak, Arkansas. Yeah, that's right. Named after, well, duh, the town called Black Oak in Arkansas. This one here, I got this one perfectly signed in 2009 when they came just down the street for a gig. Jim Dandy and Ricky Lee Reynolds still in the band. Really nice on the backside here. Sometimes I kind of miss this lineup. Classic. They're still out touring, though, with those particular two. Also, Balls of Fire. Yeah, that's right, Balls of Fire. Only in the 70s could you get away with a little reference like that, right? And typical 70s fare as well. Lastly, okay, let's see. Rock concerts. Like I told you before, if you're going to go to a rock concert, you think that you got really close access, bring an album. Because that's exactly what I did for Bret Michaels when I met him from, see, he signed for the Poison album, the very first one. And I got to tell you, he didn't stick around very long. He was sick, 104-degree temp, in a small club in Rockford, Illinois in 2006. I'm not kidding you. I think a dozen people is all he met, and he went back to the tour bus, and I'm told afterwards, puked his guts out. Poor Bret. I really felt bad for him. But guess what? He was nice, kind, quickly scrawled this, and I can add this to my 80s hair metal band collection. So that's right. What are we talking about here? You stake out whoever the heck you're going to meet, and no, I didn't say stalk out. I know that's what you were probably thinking over there while you're looking at your texts. Stake out your people that are going to show up. Get close to the front, or if you know the backstage areas or whatever, don't be a pest. Just be reasonable. Check out your resale shops because you just never know. Research. Do lots of research on your bands because you'll never know who's going to be in the backup band of who you're seeing. Get you extra autographs, it does. And you know what? The musicians will feel better for it, too. I know that Donnie did. He was very surprised. He also gave me a little bit of interesting stories from back in the Starship and Elvin Bishop days, which I'll save for another day. So until next week, take care. God bless.